Well, I thought the time was right to finally introduce my YouTube viewers and subscribers to the machine that does it all. This is my personal laptop. I use it for just about everything, including making, editing, and uploading all my YouTube videos. In addition to that, I use it for internet access, email. I watch videos on it, iTunes, all my music is on it. All my downloaded movies are on it. I use this thing for just about everything. In addition to that, I use it as an address book, calculator. The list goes on. And it's not Apple's top-end model. No, it's actually the lowest end of the MacBook Pro series. It's a 2.26 gigahertz, 13-inch MacBook Pro. And I bought this about a week after it was released in mid last summer, because it actually had everything I wanted in a laptop and more. I was specifically looking for a FireWire 800 port, which this does have, and I really like the idea of the built-in SD slot, which I use almost daily. And I actually like the 13-inch machine because it's a little bit smaller than the 15-inch. And when you're carrying a notebook everywhere you go, all day, it's nice to have one that's as small as possible without being too small. Let's take a quick look around the machine and what it offers. There is an invisible sleep indicator light right here. You can't see it because it's actually, as I said before, invisible. This is the infrared port for the remote control. It has a DVD RW drive, double layer, and a Kensington security lock. On the back, you have some cooling vents that are hidden, and I'll show you a little bit more about those later on. And on this side, you've got the MagSafe power adapter, Ethernet port, FireWire 800, which is 400 compatible, mini DisplayPort mini slot or connector, 2 USB ports, SD card slot, and a audio input-output jack, which is software switchable. Underneath, there are no ports or doors to worry about. The battery is integrated. In fact, I'm going to give you a bonus in this video. I'm going to disassemble the machine, well, remove the back cover, so you can see what it looks like inside. So let's take a look at how it runs. Like I said, this is the 2.26 version, so it's the slowest of the MacBook Pros, but faster than the MacBook. It has I believe 4 megabytes level 2 cache, 2 gigs of RAM from the factory, which I'll be upgrading soon. This came with a 160 gig hard drive, which I've upgraded to a 500. And it has a really nice glossy display, which I like this because the filtering of this glass panel helps improve the contrast of and color depth of the LCD panel. Let's go ahead and turn it on. Another thing, the MacBook Pro, even the 13-inch, has a backlit keyboard, which I find to be very nice when you're in a low-lit situation or low-light situation. But that thing is very quick starting up from a cold boot. And I have it set to launch all my favorite applications as soon as I log in, so that saves a little bit of time. I'm running 10.6 on it. It came with 10.5, and there were some issues with 10.6 when I first put it on, but I've solved all those problems so far. So that's really all I have to say about it. Let's go ahead and look at what it looks like on the inside, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Until then. Okay, once we've removed all 10 screws, the panel simply lifts right off. Now once you've removed the bottom panel, the first thing you need to do if you're doing any work to the machine is to unplug the battery connector. There it is. It lifts off. It doesn't pull out any other way. It just pulls straight off. There are 2 memory slots. There's one on the top, one on the bottom. And you can remove your memory by sliding these these clips outward, and they simply knock forward or knock up like that. The battery is replaceable. All you have to do is obtain a tri-wing security bit, which looks like this. Oops. Gotta get a better shot of that. There we go. It's called the tri-wing security bit, and it was designed so that average consumers cannot replace the battery. I mean, maybe they don't want people working on these, but that's really that simple. The battery is like $120 to replace. It's not much more money than any other machine. There's nothing special about this battery. It's just the way they designed the case. They didn't want any doors to be exposed. And if you've ever used the previous generation MacBook, it's just a very sloppy design. The battery rattles around. They just wanted to make things more streamlined and simple. So another thing is the battery supposedly is good for 5 years. So, you know, if the machine is good for 7 or 8 years, I mean, you know, 5 years is a good enough lifespan. The hard disk drive is relatively easy to replace. It's just held in by 4 Phillips head screws. Actually, I think I only had to remove 2 when I put this in. This machine was a base model 13-inch machine, and I bought it because I wanted the 13-inch. I wanted a more compact system because I knew at home I'd be using a monitor like this, and so the screen size doesn't bother me. So one of the consequences of that is I get a machine that doesn't have 2 fans, it has 1, and I got a 160 gig drive instead of something bigger. So I bought my own 500 gig Seagate Momentous, and of course the machine only had 2 gigs of RAM, which I'm going to be upgrading to 4 gigs hopefully within the next month, because the price of DDR3 is finally coming down. The optical drive on this machine has failed, and I've already replaced it once. Unfortunately, you know, optical drives are still failing in Apple notebooks. I don't know why. But if you use them extensively, they do burn out. So if you're worried about warranty replacement costs, they've actually reduced the price of these drives. If you can buy them, if you have the ability to buy them directly from Apple, they're only about $150. They used to be $300. So that's one good thing. But you can always buy an external drive and do most of your CD burning on that. I've already cleaned this machine once. When I first pulled it apart to replace the optical drive, I only had the machine about 6 months. Not even 6 months, like 4 or 5 months, and there was dust all over everything. So I blew it out with an air compressor. It's always good to periodically do that with these because there's not much cooling in this system. So any dust can cause enough air resistance to start making things run hotter. But it truly is a solid piece of aluminum. I think there's one removable piece right in the middle here. So other than that, it's solid aluminum. And if I'm not mistaken, the 13-inch has one speaker here. I believe there's another one over here. I know there's 2 speakers, but I'm just not sure exactly where they are. I'd have to look at the service manual. I don't have it on hand. But I know the 15-inch, I believe, has 3 speakers. But anyway, another thing you're going to notice is a lack of white silk screening. To make a more streamlined appearance on their motherboards, this is how crazy Apple is. They want their machines to look good on the outside and the inside. So, you know, instead of leaving this heat shield unpainted, they painted it semi-gloss black. You know, the motherboard is black instead of green or amber. And the silk screening is gone because it just looks bad. So they got rid of it. I mean, that's just how insane Apple is. I mean, they even took the time to give the battery a textured finish. I mean, I don't know. It's a little excessive. But they're beautiful inside too. That's good to know.